Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to the segment of this Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and I was just sorting in the last week all of the ads and things we were all getting, if you will, on the whole issue of the voting. The general election is it. I think tonight's probably be the last night they'll have the final count. There's a couple of votes that they're dealing with in regards to from a national perspective. And so anyway, that's going to happen also tonight. But what we're going to do this particular segment is that we're going to bring it home to Oregon, and we're going to talk from the standpoint of a little bit of the local situation, and then we're going to get to the state situation. I've got two guests who are very articulate in both of those arenas. I got James Posey, who's going to talk about the local issues right here in the Portland-Multnomah area, and John Sweeney is going to talk about the issue with the state. He'll cover the governorship and and the whole congressional things of that nature, or anything else he wants to talk on his mind. And then, like I said, as I was sorting through this stuff, I was looking at all kinds of things. There's a voters pamphlet, pretty thick one this time around.
Yeah, let me take a look at that when you.
That was a pretty thick one running around. And then the rest of it was that we had a whole bunch of stuff that was sitting up here, all kinds of flyers. Imagine, and you think about how much money that was spent during these campaigns.
Yes.
I know that the gubernatorial race is going to run about $75 to $100 million.
Get out.
That's where they are right now, $75 to $100 million. And even locally, there was some big money.
Big money
in the city races, especially the city races, and the county was there too. Maybe not as much, but the city race was quite well.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then you start thinking about representation, and naturally the biggest thing that was happening, and we'll start off with the biggest thing out front with it, was the commissioner's race between Joanne Hardesty and Renee Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Renee Gonzalez. And we're going to try to get a feel for with James here in terms of what he thought about the race and where do we go from here.
Sure.
And whether or not Renee's going to be able to fill in those shoes, because it's not an easy task sitting in any chair for that matter, because otherwise you become OJT for a while.
Sure.
And depending upon your resume, you can get into the vote aspect of it. But James, I would say that just as a kickoff point, what do you think about Renee Gonzalez and then Joanne Harris right off the bat?
Yeah.
Let's go through one. Let's go to the first one.
Sure. Well, Bruce, the polls indicated that Joanne was going to lose. And I didn't want to count her out because I worked with her on the first election. I spent a lot of time and money. I actually walked the streets for Joanne, knocked on doors, gave her money. I got pictures of her in my backyard. I did a house party for her. I went all in for her on her first, on her first campaign.
But that didn't happen. It looked like that didn't reflect. What happened? What do you think?
No. I think Joanne is a victim of a perfect storm of things. I think, I've written on my blog that she did a good job of shooting herself in the foot. And, in spite of what people think, you just can't walk through an election and do the things. And I'm going to just be honest with you. Black people have to be as pure as the driven snow in order to really stay in office. Because, really, I'm just going to say this.
Yeah, sure,
there's a perception that we are devious and, we don't pay our bills, and all the negative stereotypes about black people really apply to Joanne. And she's not a conventional person in terms of her presence and so forth. So she was dealing with headwinds, whether she knew it or not. And I think the thing that got Joanne over the hump on the first part is that Portland likes to build itself as a progressive city, and people got into that. And then we had the whole George Floyd thing and the Black Lives Matter. And you know, you saw white people out on the street down on Broadway with the Black Lives Matter.
That was
thing,
Teresa
you know.
Rayford.
Yeah,
Teresa Rayford was.
yeah. Well, so she said don't shoot. Hers was a don't shoot. That's
Don't
was
shoot,
a different
right,
thing.
right,
In
right.
fact, I think those two things, those two individuals and that two programs clashed at one point in time.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
be that as it may, there was a lot of sympathy for black people
Running for
and the
office,
police
yeah.
being the police killing black men, etc. And so she rode that horse, and she challenged the system, and quite frankly, that's one of the reasons why I supported her. But I thought once she got in, she would moderate her approach to how she managed it. You know, really apply some management to the to this position. Make no mistake about it; these politicians have to have a skill set of being a politician, being able to, appeal to all segments of the community. And I don't think anybody that you've talked to would not deny that we're worse off than we were before she took office. And that was a measure she couldn't overcome, as far as I'm concerned. Not only that, as I said before, for me on a personal level, she aligned herself with what I considered unscrupulous people. That dude who was the president of the NAACP, they did an article in the Mercury that talked about his sexual abuses of young
this?
people.
Me.
Who? The guy who had the church, has that restaurant down there off of Denver, which you eat at from time to time.
You're gonna put me there.
Well, I'm just saying, you was putting me on it. You want to act like you don't know who it is.
I'm going down there to see him to see whether or not I can.
But he got that church.
Find out what
He's
the
in there
problem was.
using the church to have relationships with little boys and that thing. That's ugly, Bruce. And really, I'm still amazed that that people didn't make more of an issue of her flirting and fraternizing with that individual, because he was terrible. And if you ever read that Mercury article on what he was doing, in fact, a few months ago, she was at a dinner at a regional conference, and I think she might have sat at his table, or she was chummy with him, and I guess they have a personal friendship. So I'm trying to understand why a person would continue to be involved with an individual like that, and when they know they're in the public eye, then all the stuff she did on her personal life and all that stuff that she did, it's crazy. So Renee Gonzalez took the benefit of that and took the guy who he ran against, the Ukrainian guy who came
Very
in
interesting guy.
second, very interesting guy. And of course that's what happened, I think, with Joanne. But Joanne built a base. All the people you see on that, if you look at that and you sort them out, you sort those individuals out, you'll see most of them are proponents of nonprofits. How many business people see on that, by the way? How many people who really sign checks on there? I don't think you're going to see too many people who really are have the economic wherewithal.
U.S. Senator.
Oh yeah, well he's got a cushy job. Once these senators get in and they don't make no big mistakes, they're in for life, especially if they call themselves progressive in this town. I mean, I was on the first part. Me and Harold Williams, as a matter of fact, was in an office when he first ran Merkley, and so we promoted him. He probably won't remember that, but I remember that we were up at one of the lawyer's office trying to get him to run, and was on his thing. So anyway, the Joanne, she did much better. I thought she was going to lose in the primary. Honestly, I did. But she, you can say what you want to say about Joanne, but she's a hard-working individual. She tried to do the grassroots thing, but again, she shot herself in the foot. A lot of people were vested in her. A lot of when you got, first of all, you don't get too many black people in that position at all. That's why I was excited to get her in a position, and you don't get too many black people who are independent-minded, who are willing to buck up against the system, etc. She was not able to manage that. And if you looked at her relationship with the other city council people, the only one that really supported her was Rubio. All her constituents, all her colleagues on that city council, didn't come out in favor of her. So that says something. I mean, that sent a message. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, the people she has to work with, because at the end of the day, you have to build consensus among people to get anything done. You got to have 3 votes. Am I right?
Well, on that particular point, I was kind of interested about the whole issue of the defunding of the police piece, because the way the media was kind of projecting it was as if it was always making it a point that she was the one that basically created that whole piece and led that piece. But again, you needed 3 votes, and I know Wheeler was one, right?
Yeah.
And Rubio was the other one, I think. Right?
Yeah. And when you look at her, she says we never really defunded the police. In fact, our budget was this and that.
Yeah.
She said she tried to alibi. Everybody was running from that when they found out most of the citizenry didn't like that whole notion. Even those Democrats, you know, Biden and all them high-level Democrats, they're not trying to say defund the police. And the Republicans now are using crime and inflation as a cudgel to beat people across the head with, and so she's caught up in that. I don't care, you know, the same thing that got her in office got her out of office, and that is not being able to talk about having a reasonable relationship with the police. You know, I'm a black man. I live right down here in the hood. I'm not interested in the police pulling me over and shooting me in the back of the neck just because I don't move the right way. I mean, don't give me that. I ain't interested in no deadbeat police. You know, police just like any other group of people. There's good, bad, and the ugly. But you have to, in a society where we need to have some law and order, we need to talk about how we treat people, including the police. How would you like to be a policeman working for the city of Portland when you got a city council person who you believe to be, or at least people say is anti-police? How would you like to have a boss like that, Bruce? If you're a policeman, would you want to come to this town, or can you? And just ask anybody. You can't recruit police here.
Well, okay. If you want to make, I'll share my thoughts to that whole piece. One, I didn't really like the structure of the law enforcement of the city of Portland to begin with. I didn't like the idea of the chief being under the mayor's office. The chief should be with his troops. You know, we come from a military kind of background. The person who was in charge should be a part of the troops. And then they moved the union in. That was it. They put the union in there, and then the president of the union, basically, in all due respect, has a whole different ball game. You know, so that was one. That's one of the pieces I had. So then, again, going around with the funding piece was the same concept. You know, because the moment we put the whole issue of defunding on the table, you know, it gave them, in some cases, gave them the opportunity to say, I want more money, or I'm leaving, or this. I'm talking about the police now. I'm talking about police. And we couldn't recruit anybody. There was all kinds of issues that we were faced with from the standpoint of the lack of the numbers and all that other stuff. We weren't dealing with the issues of law enforcement because we spent all this time on the whole issue of defunding and putting her right up front, and then that's where it was.
But here's
I was no concerned about that.
No. Listen, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line.
A lot of people were.
No, I'm just going to tell you this, and of course you understand this because, in comparison, our military is a police. It's a police, and we just had a Veterans Day. We got a lot of respect for people walking down on the street.
Sure,
we got a lot of respect because people value us protecting the nation. Now apply that to the city. If you don't give a similar sort of respect to the police who protect us, I mean, it really is essentially the same role. It's that one's civilian, one's military, and the police.
Paramilitary.
Listen, you do not want a police that has the mission of protecting you, your family, and everybody to be disrespected and unappreciated. You do not want that. If you was, when you and I both came back from Vietnam, and you know they didn't like us going over to Vietnam. They treated us worse than any other veterans of war coming back. I didn't like that because my blood is just as good as those World War II's blood. And my brother, I put a piece up on my Facebook page about my brother who got shot in the back in Vietnam. He died a couple years ago after being treated and nerves and everything going. He took all that all those drugs for all those years. He died, and I say all that to say, there's a balance here. we have to hold the police accountable, but at the same time, we must show them some respect when they do respectful things. We want to elevate them when they we've had a couple police in this community who have done good things. They work with our youth. They've done some things.
Oh, sure.
We got to accentuate that
Yeah.
as well
Oh, yeah.
as hold them accountable. The part that got out of balance is that union, as you mentioned, came in.
And they
You couldn't
defunded.
fire no police.
Yeah,
you couldn't
and-
get rid of them. Now that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, in the military, you get an Article
Oh, yeah.
15,
That's
you out
right.
the door. You
That's
get
right.
court-martialed.
That's right.
We didn't have a commensurate system in the police department to get rid of those dirty, nasty cops who were doing the wrong thing, and that's what people were raising hell about. So we got sidetracked, and towards Joanne was in the middle of this piece. I don't know, and she's talking about she was in the Navy, blah blah blah. You
Yeah.
see that little Navy thing she's talking about. Anyway, the real deal is she got to smelling her own pee too much. So she got to be arrogant with the people. I tried to have some conversation with her one time on one of the radio programs. She cut me off. I had to go home and take my sticker off the back of my little Mini Cooper. And, it was kind of a joke, but at the end of the day, she disrespected me. And I spent a lot of time trying to work with that woman, trying to connect her to real black people is what I really was trying to do, is make sure that there was a voice in here. And I'll just give you an example. When she first was elected, black people were criticizing because she didn't have no black staff. She had one black woman working for her, but but ultimately she only had one black person working for her in the beginning of her thing. And so you can go back and look at the record. I was defending Joanne. Black people didn't bring her to the party. I says, why would you think she was going to put them on immediately when it was mainly white people that voted her in? Black people were basically going for Loretta.
Yeah, sure.
I'm telling you the truth on that.
That's
So I
true.
said, give her a chance. Ultimately, she wound up getting one or two other black people working for her. But she was not able to moderate and figure out a way to work with the other city council. Let me just give you the other example. Ryan helped her get elected too. Dan Ryan helped her get elected, and then she called upon him to be in favor of that defunding piece, and he reneged.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
You remember, he reneged. So she thought she was going to have a ring in Dan's nose because he, she helped him get elected, but Dan was his own person. He said, I had a lot of respect for him. He didn't have a ring in his nose just because Joanne had had a significant hand in helping him get elected. So you got to have that independence, and I appreciate her independence. But at some point, you got to get the job done.
Yeah.
Our city has to be safe. Our city,
Has to be clean.
It has to be clean. And listen, here we are right now with this piece out. If you went to the city council people and the mayor now, this is the piece that I hate. All of a sudden, the mayor has discovered he's got emergency power. He been in office. I don't know. He been in office. I don't know how long. All of a sudden, he decided. And this is the thing that bothers me, Bruce. Once you're going down in a hole, once you let the hole get deep and wide, you hardly can dig out of that joint. So you better put a cover over that hole before you start, before you go down, because getting back out of that hole is almost impossible.
That's where he's at now.
Yeah, so that hole is deep.
Yeah.
And listen, this is the thing, I don't know if anybody ever want to say this, but we become the mecca for every dirtbag, every deviant, every live off of us thing. They all said, hey, let's go to Portland. We can live there. The police ain't gonna bother us. We can smoke as much weed as we want to. We can piss on the street.
We can sleep on the street.
We can sleep on the street.
On the sidewalk.
Right? And listen, I want all the crazies to get together and let's get on the bus and let's get up here in Portland and live like dogs. Live like dogs. And listen, I come from a poor family. I'd be the last one to want to demean poor people who legitimately are poor by virtue of their circumstances. But there are people I got them in my family. Want to live off you. They let you go to work. They want to live off you. We have become the bastion for people who want to live free, they might want to say, because that's what they're doing, living all out there in those SUVs. One guy got lawn chairs out there, he got a bathtub. Say, hell, what, why does he need to have a house when he got all the convenience of living out up on the top of the hill? So anyway, I'm Joanne tried to show some compassion for those folk, and I have compassion for them too. But you know where I come from? If you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to hit a lick of the snake, you get what you pay for out there. So I ain't trying to encourage anybody to live the way these people have been living. And if you give them a chance, right. Now let me tell you, can you understand this? If you give a person a voucher to live somewhere else and they refuse that because they got a crack habit, what you supposed to do?
Go to jail.
Huh? What you listen? I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor. So when people are addicted to drugs, the drug is their master. They are worshiping the drug, and really, having heat and a bed to sleep in is incidental.
Yeah.
The drug is the main focus of what they want to do. And these people, we've got our portion. We've over invested in people that want to do that kind of thing in our community. That's why we're doing what we're doing, and why things are so bad.
How do we solve it?
There are a couple of things I studied a little psychiatry and psychology. You have to reward the behavior that you want to see. Listen, you have to provide resources for people who really want to get it and so forth. You have to make that happen. There can't be any excuses for not having houses. So you do have to have houses. But the people who want to live on the street and do drugs, we need to build a big place for them, somewhere away from the rest of us. And we don't even want our kids to see these people. Now, if you go over here to Boyce Elliott and go over to Boyce Elliott and you look across from Boyce Elliott, you see all that graffiti across the street from them, and those kids are in the classroom, and guess the real lessons they're learning is that you can mark on anything, you can say anything nasty, you can do anything and get away with it. That's the lesson. So if we don't start now telling people you can't go and mark up on everybody's property, your ass needs to go, excuse my French, your ass needs to go to jail. We need to put some cameras up, because I guarantee you there's no more than 40 or 50 people in this whole city who's doing all this marking.
Oh yeah. That's a quick solution.
A quick solution. You know what I would do? I ain't gonna tell you what I would really do, but if I found those people marking up a piece of property, I think I'd be putting lifelong handcuffs on them. Mm-hmm. Some people would do something worse than that on their fingers and hands and everything. But I would think I would. Why
aren't we not doing that?
Because we want to be so nice and kind, and we want to. We call it humanity.
Who's responsible for that? City council, right?
Yeah, city council is. City council was all the way up to the top.
The chair of the city council.
Tina's going to be in that role now. They better get some balance on this. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're going to go under. You was in the war and I was in the war. If you let the enemy overtake you, if you don't start flanking them out, you know what I'm saying? I'm using military terms to you right now. If you don't start flanking them out, and listen to me, and if you don't start putting tools in place, listen to me. I'm using this military language because you understand it. You have to have surveillance. Yeah. You have to have spies.
They already know that. They have to.
Yeah, you have to.
All the money that they got that they've sent folks out
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got cameras up around my house. A dog can't piss on cotton around my house, but I got cameras up. If somebody marks on my stuff, them dogs come from my house and they poop. I got a picture of them dog pooping. I'm saying, man, you let your dog poop off anymore. I'm gonna bring my dogs. I'm gonna put dogs on your place. You let the people. If you don't clean up your poop, you cannot. When you're under attack, you have to defend yourself.
That's right.
You hear me? The city's under attack, Bruce. And so, unless the politicians are willing to
we got a
acknowledge that.
Like I say, now we got Renee Gonzalez, who's on there now, and we got 3 other commissioners, and we got a mayor.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to resolve some of the?
Well, you gotta bite the bullet and not be just running for election. See, all these politicians just want to get back in, so they, Joanne was making almost $200,000 a year. They tell me, she ain't got a pot to piss in now. She's gonna have to get out here and hustle and make a living like the rest of us for at least 2 years because of this charter review thing. She's gonna be coming back around. I guarantee you, she'll be coming back around in one of those districts where she only has to get. Yeah, she's gonna run. So is your girl Loretta. They all clamoring to drink at the trough because at the end of the day, I mean, you got prestige, your press conference, you got staff, you got all these other things that you and I are going to have to pay for.
Yeah.
And yet our city's in a mess. And I think this charter review is going to reveal that, you got these people who are lifelong politicians. They never had a real job in their life.
No term limit.
No term limit. It's going to be harder to get them out. That's why I didn't like this whole charter review thing. We're going to play hell getting somebody out of this office if they get in this time around, because it's going to be easier to get in, and every person without a resume, don't have no experience, no background, are going to be in charge of managing me and you. The good thing I like about this charter review thing, at least they're going to hire a professional person to come in and look at where our money goes to and talk about, how do you run a bureau and you don't have no understanding of what human resources is about your staff?
At the same time, you got to think in terms of, again, you get the city manager, but you got the elected bosses.
That ain't how it works.
No, but I'm just saying, politicians,
Yeah.
they were elected by the people.
Yeah.
They were hired. The city manager will be hired by the politician.
Yeah, it's not going to look good. We're not going to have clear lines of accountability. It's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough thing to hold. So
look, we got about a minute or so, and
a minute, man. Time goes when you're having fun, man.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back and visit. We got to come back and visit, if you will. Where do we go from here?
Well, you never got a chance to tell me about.
No. We just, like I said, this is a preliminary aspect because we have to stay at the table.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why I came on this show was to talk about the NAACP.
Oh yeah.
And you completely throw that out the window. You wait down to the last minute. You got to talk about the NAACP.
John will give you 10 minutes off his piece. Keep going.
John is chomping at the bit. He want to get over here. Tell this.
Go on. Yeah, give me.
I just.
Seriously.
The election is coming up. The election is coming up on Thursday. This coming Thursday, and if you're not already a member, thank God I walked you through, so you could vote for me if you wanted to.
You shouldn't have to expose it. Why don't you get membership? Why don't you talk for membership?
No.
You have to write them up. I know you're good to write them up.
No.
Give Mr. Posey a call.
No, I'm just going to say.
He'll solve his problem.
I'm going to say, that this particular branch right now is not what it could be. I don't want to talk down. Oftentimes, black people, they out here and we think we're the only ones got problems. But this particular branch is, we had that dude that was a pedophile who was running it. We finally got rid of him. Then we got this lady in here now who's running, which I thought she was going to do a good job.
Talking about Sharon Gary.
Yeah, she's the membership has gone down. There's a lot of internal. I like to use the analogy when you have a car that has flat tires and the battery won't start, and you don't have no gas in it, and you trying to move down the road, it's unlikely you're gonna make it very far.
All right. Well, what do you bring?
That's what I'm trying to say.
You're gonna get more involved now?
Yeah. Well, we've got to do some things. You cannot have a program that's going to get rid of racism, that's going to impact discrimination, that's going to work with inequality when the internal house is not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Your house has to be in order, and in order for you to execute on all those major issues that are affecting black people.
So the NWC, you be getting involved. There's going to be some.
I'm gonna recruit you. You're gonna be up here doing some things for me. Your program might be one of the vehicles for communication out here.
Is that right?
You know, I mean, you always out here talking this and that.
Well, that's what I'm doing
That's
now.
what I'm saying. Yeah, but I want you to focus in on bringing other people in. You know, what you're trying to do. For example, we lost District 18. Now I know that's on your heart. You know, we don't have no black representation for real now.
That's right.
You know that.
Yeah.
So the NAACP should say that, and they should try to be forcing a way forward for us to really have some black representation.
Well, in all due respect, there was a young lady that ran for county district number 2, Liz Taylor. She's been from the community. She was born and raised there, and that was part of her platform. But nobody reached out to her.
Yeah. Well, but it's a process. You know, you know I'm mean. You know I'm gonna be out in somebody's face.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be talking this 24/7. And I'm not gonna let it go. So somebody's either gonna have to deal with
Makes
me.
sense. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You
All right.
you
tell the
Bruce,
public,
yeah,
tell
I'm telling the
them.
public. I'm
Okay,
telling
good,
y'all
yeah.
gonna have to fess up or get up. Don't blame nobody for your problems unless you're
Yourself.
willing to
That's
try
right.
to.
That's fair.
Don't be
That's fair.
don't be talking about how bad white people are and this and that when you on your lazy butt going over to the monkey shoot.
Well, one of the things you guys can do is maybe consider reaching out and getting more black people to run for office and support them. You can do that?
Well, I think we can, but I'm interested in having more black businesses, people who.
Well, that's true. But that's just one segment.
No,
I'm just
but
saying.
you got you getting all over the place. We got so many. You know, we always think that manna's gonna come down from heaven if you get a political job, but really the middle class of black people has been hollowed out. We don't have technicians now the way we ought to. Our old tech economy is not populated by black people. All these jobs are $100,000 above. You got 5 in the whole state. How many? Let me just ask you this question: how many black millionaires do you know? Say that again. How many black millionaires do you know in the Portland metropolitan area? Explain it to me. Don't be looking all weepy-eyed and everything. We ain't got none to speak of. And you know, and an economy that works around economics. If you don't have people who can provide jobs, who can provide a critical product, manufacturing, nothing can we put our hands on and say black people is in control of in this city. But am I right? You tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Right.
I hate that.
You're right.
And listen, Bruce, it ain't the white people's fault.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Hello?
That's right. No, you're right.
I'm going.
I agree with that.
Let me get
Well,
out
look,
before
thank you very
before you
much.
burn me down.
No. I mean, I will be seeing you maybe.
Wait, I got one other thing here.
Real quick.
This is I'll tell you something. In this guide here is a petition to do away with slavery.
Well, that's another heavy piece. You guys should be on top of the NAACP.
That's why I got to be the president. Over 600,000 people in this state agreed to keep slavery on the books.
Look, it didn't pass. Look, it didn't pass.
Huh?
It didn't pass.
What do you mean? No. It's no, I'm just saying. Yeah, lucky it didn't pass. But at the end of the day, that many people still want to have slavery in the state of Oregon. That ought to tell you something, Bruce.
Right.
I'm out.
Go the other way. Okay, buddy.
Peace.
Thank you, Ryan. Come on, John. Why don't you come by me? Okay, there you have it. There's a commitment from James Posey, and all due respect, he's running for president of the NAACP, and he wants to focus on the whole issue of blacks here in the state of Oregon. And being that this is the largest city and basically the largest organization for us in NAACP, I think that's a good start. Well, now we've got John Sweeney. John now is going to carry us through the rest of the state. He's going to talk a little bit about the governor's race and some of the congressional races and senatorial races and he's familiar with that. Plus the fact, at one point in time, he ran for governor also too, but he also had a resume from the standpoint of running locally here at Multnomah County. He served on was it educational board?
Multnomah Education
Service District aspect of it. So he's got a resume, and you've seen John here before. So I thought it would be a good idea to have John here and give us a little overview of what he thought about the whole issue of the results the, uh, the elections, and spend a little time on the gubernatorial races and whatever. Kind of, it's like anything else. We got to go forward, and we got to work with what we got. That's basically what it is. So, John,
we don't have much.
Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, talk about give us a little deal. Let's talk about the gubernatorial race. You had the two ladies, which was historical in itself.
Well, in fact, having three women in the final for being governor, we had a choice between three of them, and I was in favor of Betsy Johnson, and but she was going strong, and then her power failed, and then it became between Tina Kotek and Christine Drayson, and I would have preferred Christine Drayson over Tina Kotek, and I'm a lifelong Democrat. Of course, I'm a gun-loving conservative Democrat, and the Democratic Party generally has the problem that it's infested with the Democratic Socialists, and people don't realize what that means. Basically, as communists, and one of the things they don't believe in is private property, and there's moves around that a lot of private property is being bought up so that you can, if you go to England, the high elite, they have their estates, but the masses like you and I are cradled to the grave in a rented flat. So they basically, as your family expands, they might get you a little larger place to live. As your family shrinks, well, then the thing is your living space will be reduced. And their promotion is you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And of course, there is a saying is that if you own a lot of stuff, sometimes you don't own them, they own you. You're worried about breaking this and losing that, and you're just going nuts on that type of thing. But so we will see how this comes out, and it's the Senate looks like the Oregon State Senate is controlled by the Democrats, and the House is kind of iffy, and it just kind of depends on how this is going to work out. And an interesting thing, in 2020 they had a census, and in 2021 they did a reassessment. So in 2022, most of the political lines have been realigned, where there were political lines. So in fact, this morning I was at a meeting with Lou Fredericks. He has a meeting just about every month on the second Saturday, and he and State Senator Demeraux now live in the same district. So come next election, is one of them going to bow out, or are they going to run against each other, or what? So that is could be a change, and so I'm sure there's other Senate positions in the same box. And one of the things that we've gone from 5 congressional districts to 6. Now, if you look back in time, when there was 4 congressional districts, and you look at the maps, they made sense. But Mary Botkin said when the 5th congressional district came out, they gerrymandered the living hell out of it, and she really bragged on it. And so they did the same thing this time. Because if you look at the boundaries, the 5th congressional district goes from very southeast Portland to Bend, Oregon. You look at it crossing the mountain ranges and stuff. In fact, the Allegheny Mountains, where they're located, that's why there's West Virginia and Virginia. But if you look at that change, it doesn't make sense. And the only reason it makes sense is because of gerrymandering. And you'd hear the Democrats screaming about the Republicans doing gerrymandering. Well, if you go to a Republican-controlled state, they gerrymander. You go to a Democratic state like Oregon, they gerrymander. So there's a lot of shifting around, and the the Democrats didn't have their red wave, and I think part of it was they got to be, and I voted for a lot of Republicans. They were really stupid, and the fact is, I hope the you don't shoot me through the TV screen. Anyway, the Supreme Court reversed Roe v. Wade, and they passed it down to the states. Well, the radical Republicans at the federal level said they were going to have a federal ban, and so a lot of the people that went for that, who were in the process of winning, suddenly lost. Like that's how it looks at it. Like in District 3 over in Washington, it's probably what's going to happen. Then some of the at the local level, they got on the bandwagon about having Roe v. Wade, and they overlooked one real glaring fact. In Kansas, which is a real red state, so and mostly Republican. So the thing is, when they come down to vote to see whether to keep abortion legal in Kansas, it passed by about 70 or 75%. So they should have woke up and says, hey, this is what the people really want. And usually I've heard some Republicans say, well, why would a Republican vote to make abortion legal? Simple, because those Republicans have daughters, and their daughters get out and about, and things happen. And the thing that gets me, those who are really radical pro-life, you turn around about investing in contraception, they don't want to do that either. And the deal is, abortions have been going down pretty steady, and it'll never reach zero. And if they would invest in contraception, and there was a World Health Organization had a survey, worldwide contraception would cost $5 billion. It would save $80 billion. And the real question is, how many young women, young men too, their bright futures are sidetracked their plans because of an unwanted pregnancy. And if they had the contraception, that would go away, and the topic of abortion would become a moot point. Because it would just be almost nothing.
Look, on that particular note, let's go back to square one to a certain degree. The three ladies that were running for office. You're right. Betsy, at one point in time, was a Democrat, right? She was a Democrat.
Correct, yes.
And she's been in the party, I think, about 3 decades, almost about 20
I would imagine
years,
so.
30 years. And it was kind of interesting, the fact that she would change her party affiliation to non-affiliated. Why didn't she run? Why didn't she just go on and run for Democrat in the Democrat?
Well, it saved her the primary, the battle of the primary. So what she did, went out and she worked on doing a petition system to get on the ballot by petition, and that's what she did. And she got enough signatures to be on the general election ballot. And then the deal is that way.
But that was quite a task.
Oh yes, it was.
Probably cost about $2 million just to get that.
And it was a nip and tuck deal.
But then $2 million though.
Oh yes.
I mean, people buy seats all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you got me. So, but the fact of the matter is that you got to have, at some point in time, you got to have a base of some sort. And
right.
You know, had she run as a Democrat, she had a base because she was a senator for a certain area, right? And she'd been around for quite some time. That'd be interesting.
I think that maybe
she didn't think
she might have had a base, and I run in that election, and of course a lot of people that were Republicans didn't trust me because I was a Democrat. Well, you'd vote for gun control. I said, no, I wouldn't. I said, because it's gun control only affects law-abiding citizens. You and I and most of the people out there viewing, because they put, in fact, this ballot measure 114, that's what it does. It restricts law-abiding citizens, because the criminals, when they get caught and they throw the gun charges out there, because that's what the prosecutors do, is they throw the spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. And so then when they go through the plea bargaining process, all those gun charges just slide right off the table. And so when they actually go into court, there's none of that stuff. And then the deal is that they get reduced sentences, and especially it seems like in Multnomah County, we have a district attorney that was financed by George Soros, and all through the country you have these people who are just getting slapped on the hands when they should get some real time. And of course the thing is, you got these people still say, we want to lock them up and throw away the key. Well, how many prisons do you want to build? And I've been interested in law enforcement. One time I wanted to be a police officer, and I was in the Army National Guard. My branch was ordnance, and you have missile silos and all that. But the deal is, prisons are the most expensive systems to build and run. And so the thing is, what are you going to do if you're going to have you're going to build prisons for everybody? In fact, prior to the meeting, Oregon has 4.4 million people in the state, and with 2% being criminals, that's 88,000 criminals. And there's not room in the Oregon State prison system for 88,000 people. And about 44.
I hear where you're coming from. Now that's your base.
Yeah.
You can talk, and you communicate. I guess I'm going back to those three women that were running.
Okay. So the deal is, so
we was talking about Betsy initially. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
and she had a base, and she left her base.
Yeah, and
as a result, you can see that, and that's a lot of money trying to go out there and create another base. Yeah. And it cost her about $2 or $3 million just to get on the ballot.
Correct. And and the thing is that I wish she had gone through the primary process, because a lot of the candidates for the Democratic nomination for governor, including Tina Kochek and several others, were on the left side, and so it could have been that she could have broke through and been the nominee for the Democratic Party, and that would have been a better choice if the choice that actually would have been Johnson and Drayson, and then I think that maybe Johnson would have won out of that. So, and if Johnson hadn't been in the race, I think the deal is that Drayson would have beaten Tina Kochek if it hadn't been for Johnson, because
we should get that. We should be able to get that number at some point in time in the future, right?
Yeah.
How many D's actually? How many R's?
Johnson had 9% of the vote,
right.
And so if most of that would have gone to Drayson, then the thing is, she would have won over Tina Kochek.
Okay.
So it's sometimes it's like if you're going to run for office, some people wait to the last minute, because if you sign up early, the incumbent sometimes gets their friends in there to spread the vote so thin that they get to stay.
Okay.
In fact, the first time I ran for office in 1968, I ran for mayor of Portland, but I signed up on Monday, and the deadline was on Tuesday. Well, guess what? When it was over, there was 4 people in the race. I did come in second, but the deal. But back in those days, the city candidates were not on the voters' pamphlet, which is a real important piece of information, because one of the things about the voters' pamphlet, it is the information put in there about 65 days ahead. So you could look at the voters' pamphlet and say, what is this person's long view? But the thing is, then later the candidates with lots of money, they keep hitting you with all the new stuff. But it's good to look at their kind of historical outlook because of what they put in the voters' pamphlet.
Okay. Let's go about the second choice, and that would have been the Republican Party aspect.
Yeah.
Betsy could have run for she was conservative. She was a conservative Democrat, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I still think that if she had won the Democratic primary and been the Democratic nominee, that Johnson probably would have beat Drayson.
I think so.
Because they're both good on the gun issue, and and Johnson's better on the.
So you think that in the primary, if there was a primary, and she ran in the primary against Tina Kotek, she would have beat Tina, you think?
I think so, because there was enough other people in the race that would have spread it out, and they were to the left too. See, so and there was actually 4 people in the voters pamphlet, and I think there was 5 people actually on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
See, and so so that's the part that, 3 of them got all of the press, and there was a 4th one that was in the voters pamphlet, and then I think there was a 5th one that did not appear in the voters pamphlet. So, but it was a good race, and hopefully things will calm down and things will go through and
Well, being that Tina Kotek is from this area,
yes,
in Multnomah County in
Yeah.
Portland, and then she was Speaker of the House at one point in time,
yes,
right? And I would have thought that she would have put quite a bit of emphasis on the whole issue of the issues that we're trying to address today in Portland.
correct.
I mean, these issues are all over the state, but the primary, the largest group, right, was right in the Portland area, and while she was chair of the legislature, right?
She was the Speaker of the
She was
House,
Speaker of the
and
House.
Christine Drayson was the leader of the
The
Republicans.
minority,
So-
okay, minority.
and all 3 were in the legislature, and they all 3 resigned to run for
Remember that
governor.
respect, yeah. But I'm thinking about Tina.
Yeah.
Tina was from here, and she was Speaker of the House.
right.
But the idea was that, don't you think she could have spent more efforts in this area while she was Speaker of the House, and she had a platform.
Well, one of the
She had a
things
leadership role. What happened?
well, one of the things that they dropped out for is because during the legislative session, they're prohibited from raising money. So there would have been that time that when the legislature was in session, that they couldn't be doing fundraising, and you bet that they were raising.
No, I'm thinking about the issues.
Yeah, the issue.
The issues were on the table when she was the chair. The issues like the crime and the homelessness, the mental illness aspect of it. I mean, isn't that where you discuss issues?
Well, when
Why wasn't Portland one of her prior? And she was in the legislature. She's right here in the city of Portland.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, if you look at the homeless thing, and the thing is, I got kind of crucified when I was running in, because I said it's a local problem, and it deals all public assistance should be at the county level, nationwide, because the people who know the system, they can milk here and milk there and all that, but with the people who get hurt are the people who've been playing by the rules all the time and working, and suddenly their world collapses. So if you had it that they would go to the county, and then the state employment and unemployment office would be co-located, that they could get set up for their needs to kind of save themselves and their families. But now you have, if you drive around Portland, they call them human services. They're city, county, and state offices. So you have a lot of administrative
Right.
money going
Again,
rather than have one level.
John, let's see if I throw something on the table here. Let's get right down to the pick of the matter. Don't you think it's about time we merge the city and the county together?
That has some promise. In fact,
We got 2 police departments.
yeah.
We got 2 administrations, and everything is focused on the Portland metropolitan area.
Yeah, and there was Resolution A in 1983. At that time, City of Portland was basically a 10-mile by 10-mile square.
I'm not trying to we got only 4 minutes, and I want to get down to the meat of the matter. What happened? And what do you think about the merger, if you will, of those 2? Then we can put all those in, because they're not talking about. They're going to be coming under discussions now. Has been made that the county has to work with the city has to work with the county, and that hasn't worked.
Well, it's worked in other places.
But it hasn't worked in Portland.
Well, they've had a couple of proposals in the.
But they had that before,
Yeah.
right?
But with the right proposal, I think it would be good. With the one meeting that I went to, they were going to have 5 people running the whole show,
Right.
and they weren't going to have an elected sheriff. And I told them, I says, the people are not going to go for that because they had appointed sheriffs before, and it really didn't work out well. But if they were to do a city-county consolidation and have one government, and you'd have the commissioners, say you've got about 12 of them, and you got them divided up into districts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that fit, right? That would fit.
that would work.
And then you got Reese. Well, he's leaving, but he basically lobbied quite heavily to get that elected position for the sheriff. You got me?
No.
And he was former chief of police at one time for Portland.
In Portland,
Got
right?
me?
So,
And basically, from the interim for quite some time, he was really chief of police, chief of law enforcement. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Basically, he was he was working with the Portland Police Department and the county, right? County sheriff, right?
They had worked together.
Right,
pretty well.
but it was Reese's deal. He put that piece together.
Yeah.
Got me? And so I'm just saying, I'm thinking about, everybody's concerned about this whole issue of the reformation of the city, right? Got me?
Mhm.
And so consequently, and the county's already districtized.
Correct.
It's already districtized.
Yeah.
So you won't have to worry about that part.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have 12 people, right, in each district aspect of it. And you got term limits on the county districts, right? So folks, right there, right now, right?
Yeah.
You can get rid of that right off the bat.
Well, what happened with the Resolution A was the city, the county took over the jails and the welfare, and the sheriff's department was really shrunk down, and then the county chairman and the commissioners have term limits, and what's happened is that when they ran out of time, they come across to the city.
Yeah, and they run for that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just saying. It's all compatible. It's all the same issues.
Right, and this new thing for the city, they should have had 12 districts, not 4 districts, and
For just the city?
Huh?
You should have a what? We're gonna have 12. We're gonna have 12 now.
they're going to have 12, but if they'd have had 12 districts rather than 3 in each.
12 districts. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it
That's
was,
indirectly, that's what's going to happen, because they're going to be fighting among themselves in each of the 4 districts. Because you got 3 people in one district, and naturally they're going to have to cut the pie,
right. And,
right?
And see, the thing is,
So you got 12. You
yeah.
got
See, the county commissioners don't have any duties, because the deal is they have offices and functions, but they're not running a bureau or something like that. And I was with the city of Portland for 32 years, 8 months, and I was with the parks, and we had several really good park commissioners, but they listened to their professionals, Orman Bean and Charles Jordan and Frank Ivancy and all that, and had a good mayor when they had the riots.
yeah. We got about 50 seconds.
Yeah, and when they had the American Legion convention, I was at the National Guard, got called up for that. It was really an interesting time.
I heard that. We got that. But look, we need to spend more time on trying to figure out how we need to put something on the table for the city and the county to work together
Yeah,
with all this, and this new board and all this other good stuff, because we got a problem. We're going to have to work with the city and the county,
Yeah.
and we have to give them some sense of direction by bringing folks on and talking about the issue. Okay.
well, maybe this
so this is a
commission
start.
could be shoehorned into doing a city-county
Well,
consolidation.
we can talk about it. That's how it starts, right? But they have to do something. People are going to figure out what are we going to do, and they got to do this within 2 years.
Yeah.
They got to get this thing organized within 2 years, and this is the time to do it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, John, thank you very much for being with us. This is great. I'll see you next time. Okay, folks, we'll see you next week. Okay, take care.